Texas Podcast Massacre contains spoilers and adult language. For more horror, visit us at our website at texaspodcastmassacre.com. This is Texas Podcast Massacre.
Welcome to another episode of Texas Podcast Massacre, coming to you from Houston, Texas. I'm your host, Mitch, and with me, as always, are my co-hosts, Lisa.
Down in Castle Rock.
And Nate.
As everyone knows, I like my bed and breakfast very authentic. And if you don't like that, you're
probably use the right axe, man.
Yeah, definitely need to check the details of that accent, you know.
If you like it super authentic, I would have walked away.
The history buffs and they can't get the right axe. Come on, details, my man. Yeah, so welcome to a bonus episode of Texas Podcast Massacre, where each week we are running down the episodes of Castle Rock available on Hulu. This week we are talking about episode 8, Past Perfect. I want to get to y'all's overall opinions. I will say, you know, we've talked about how great there's 3 episodes left, so they're really going to have to start driving to some answers, trying to start tying some loose ends together. This episode said, fuck you, we're not doing that. We're going to throw a bunch of new shit in there. See, I know less about this show now than before I started this episode. So, Nate, I guess I want to ask, so what are your thoughts about this one?
Yeah, so the episode didn't really progress any of the major story points in almost any way, but it probably was the most action-packed of all the episodes.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, and I'm like asking it like a question because I'm still not sure what it means. But I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. It felt a little. It was like a burst of energy, whereas the previous episode, the Queen, was spectacular. It was a spectacular character study that was super woven together. And then this was just like a bunch of people you didn't care about killing people. So it was a little jarring narrative-wise.
Yeah,
well,
I would say.
Okay.
And I got distracted on my phone because I was looking up what past perfect means in terms of tense in the English language. And apparently it's to define something that happened in the past but is finished now. And now you've it's hard to explain. Something that has happened and it's done. So I don't know. We had some weird, not time jumpy stuff in this episode, but kind of callbacks and one thing right at the end that kind of made me go, wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'd say this episode, in my mind, it kind of followed a little bit more what American Horror Story typically kind of does. You know, they have some of these episodes where they're almost standalone-ish, right? Like you could almost watch this a little bit out of context because it just focuses on this brand new thing. It does wrap together, but it's almost like it focuses on, you know, the big thread in this episode was the history teacher, a professor, and his wife who just bought the sheriff, or not the sheriff. The
Castle Rock B&B.
Yeah, Castle Rock B&B, and decided they're going to turn it into a murder attraction.
I was telling Mitch, I don't know, halfway through the episode when they discovered the pictures of the kid, that the props department must have had a blast with that.
Oh, yeah, all the mannequins?
Well, not the mannequins, the paintings. Just doing like painting after painting of Skarsgård.
Yeah, so let's talk about the couple, because I want to get into these paintings. Nate, let me ask you, he has at least 40 mannequins, more or less. Is that does he need more for his murder attraction?
Plaster face.
Well, Stephen King, as we all know, one of his favorite horror movies is Tourist Trap.
Can I get some written documentation on that one?
It is this. You look it up. Look it up. But they could not answer any other questions. But if it's linked to tourist trap in any way, 10 out of 10 for me. I mean, that's just an aside. Yeah. But for me, I don't know. We did see that couple. I don't even know, the professor and the professor's wife. I don't know.
The professor and Marianne,
like Gilligan's Island description. Yeah, exactly. But it was, I didn't really care about them in any way. So like, she cheats on him. Instead of sitting in his nice cushy tenure, he tries to beat a thesis candidate with his own thesis. That's pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie. That was pretty great. Like, that's pretty good. Like, yeah, like your own words are coming back to haunt you, like physically. But then they move. That's what they're looking for, the house in the previous episode. They move in, they do all this stuff. It's like, you can't have more than one guest. Like, you have one guest, then you murder them. That seemed like it was doomed.
Well,
from the
but
beginning.
he murdered them because they were having an affair.
Okay. Isn't like, wasn't there some sort of like package deal? Like, what was that one website that everyone cheated?
You're talking about Ashley Madison?
Yeah, so that, I'm assuming that like, bed and breakfast was like a huge ad run from like just the United States Bed and Breakfast Association or something. I mean, come on. That doesn't seem that far fetched that you.
Yeah, but it like struck a nerve with basically. Him. That's the problem. His wife cheated on him. These people are cheating, so that's why he killed them.
Yeah, I think
if he had gotten like a nice, like normal married couple, I don't think he would have snapped.
I think you're right. I think to Nate's point, maybe he should have done better customer base analysis or something. He should have understood his market. Like, who are the people that are going to these bed and breakfasts?
They were just happy that they had someone.
Yeah, it's like it'd be like, oh, like I'm running this motel, but I don't want like any like people coming here for affairs.
Which I'm sorry, I know that you don't care that these people know, but if you're cheating and someone's like, oh, how long have y'all been married? Get your story straight. They were just blatantly obvious about it. Well,
it shouldn't matter. This guy was a psycho murderer from the beforehand. I'm sorry.
No, he wasn't. He even told his wife, I don't know what happened. I'm not a murderer.
Well, so let me ask you this. Because I don't.
That's false.
Certainly he's had a break, right? But remember, he doesn't really actually. I mean, what kind of precipitates this is the fact that they go into the basement that had previously been locked. So that was one thing we learned. What's in the basement? It is a bajillion paintings of Skarsgård, seemingly one every year. So I guess 27 total, although it felt like more. Felt like a lot more than 27.
Yeah. That was much more creepy than the mannequins. I mean, come on. So the last episode, Bill Skarsgård got some like voice lines for once, right? And he was like trying to dance with Sissy Paycheck, and you're like, oh god, he's getting creepy. Then they're like, oh, let's pull it back a little bit and just have 27 of them looking at you.
Yeah, in that art style of everywhere you stand in the room, he's staring at you.
Exactly. I was like, man, they're hitting just different ways to make him creepy that I wouldn't even think of. I mean, in that they are.
But I guess my question is then, so we talked in other episodes, Skarsgård having this sort of amplification effect. And I think they even kind of brought it up in this episode a little bit as well. But even his painting, the paintings were hung up as part of the bed and breakfast before he murders that couple. Does just even the likeness of him, that painting, do that? Do you think that had anything to do with it?
Is it when you look upon his face? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you think that he was going to do this regardless. That Skarsgård's just that was just kind of a nice, cool little thing to put in the thing, bed and breakfast. But
I think just ever since the affair thing, he was just like on a downward spiral. And the downward spiral for this guy includes setting up elaborate murder scenes with mannequins. So, I mean, not helping the situation.
Well, and that was sort of my theory at the beginning when we talked about the cop, right? Is that it's not, these things are inside them. I think Skarsgård's character sort of brings out the worst of it. really pushes
Well,
pushes
that's
him over
what
the
Henry
ledge,
says, right? At some point in the episode, Henry says it's like this is following him. He goes, he's not doing it directly, but he's like bringing something out in these people.
Yeah, because I think, so we'll come back to the couple, but what we find out in this episode that's in line with this is, they talk about the asylum and how he got out, and you're getting snippets throughout the episode, and it comes to find out that several of the inmates are really the ones that set their beds on fire, and that's what caused the fire.
Yeah.
So even still, it wasn't Skarsgård getting out. His mere presence is.
Yeah, he is he's the godfather of creepiness. Like his hands are on the puppet strings, making other people do things while he sits there being creepy.
But we still haven't really pinpoint how he does it, because they did a flashback to the warden and you see the warden touch his face. And I think that's the first time he actually touched his skin. And then that day he died.
And you're thinking because the guard fist bumped him.
Yeah. So I'm thinking it's some sort of physical contact.
But then what about the history professor? Because
I think he's unrelated to.
Did the warden just rub his face against the canvas?
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
just his skin oil somewhere on.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's like the Shroud of Turin of like making you kill people.
But I don't think Henry's touched him. I don't think Jackie's touched him. I don't think. Oh my gosh, what's the Shannon girl?
Jackie.
No,
Molly. She's the best.
Molly.
Oh no, the actual Shannon girl. Sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
the one who
I got
has
you.
the Shannon.
Yeah.
Not the Shannon's niece.
So yeah, let's pivot to that storyline. So Molly uses the Shannon to rescue Henry out of the sound chamber.
Now, did she kill those
trailer?
guys? Because the guy who made himself deaf is presumably dead with like a screwdriver in his eye. So either the other guy realized he didn't want to be deaf, or Molly killed him. I don't know.
Think about it this way: if you're dead, you're the most deaf you could possibly be. So maybe,
so he was being even more perfect.
Really trying to one up himself to be more perfect.
More perfect.
Oh, because past perfect, because he said deaf is perfect, and this way he's past perfect in the episode.
Ooh. You would think he wouldn't just go with like a screwdriver into the eye, but I guess whatever works for you.
Seems like there's easier ways to go. I didn't know about that part. Molly's still like, so we hooking up,
right?
Like, that's basically like her whole thing. She's like, this is gonna happen, right? Like
no, we didn't see his translator though, right? We only saw him, so his translator's still presumably alive.
Yeah, out in the wild.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe it was the translator that did it because he realized he didn't want to be deaf. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I will say I was a little disappointed in that it just ended pretty soon. We didn't really get. I mean, they gave us some weird image flashes and some trippiness, but it ended pretty quickly.
I think Henry in his head still hasn't put together what he saw. I think he's still processing it, and that's why we haven't gotten a resolution on it.
I see. It just seemed like he just got conveniently rescued really quick. She just showed up. It's like, oh, hey, I knew you were here, and you're out now. It seemed kind of. Yeah. Oh no, I feel like they could have.
They had a connection, so I let it go, but it's weird.
I guess you would think that if he's in like a chamber where he's deprived of senses, that she would.
I don't know if he's in a chamber where all he has is his thoughts, and that's what she's connected to.
Surely he doesn't have she doesn't have a GPS on him, because otherwise she should have found him when he was a kid, right? Because he was still missing for several days before they found him. If he had like, a chip that she's reading off of.
Well, we still don't know what happened out there when he was a kid. So that's to come.
Yeah.
What did y'all think of? Let me just ask you a question. Murder and intrigue happening everywhere, and you put your son on the bus by himself to go home.
Hey man, anytime you get your kid out of Castle Rock, seems like it doesn't matter which way it is. Get this kid out of here. It seems like
I'm sticking his butt on a plane.
I don't think that Castle Rock has an airport.
You don't think so?
No.
Yeah, and if there was, like, all the planes would crash. Like every single flight ends.
They barely have a Greyhound.
So what did y'all think about discovering that he had the What are we calling it? The sound, the voice of God in his ear.
Well, I mean, I don't know what I want to call it.
I already forgot what they called it.
Like the tinnitus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is it genetic?
Like God
then?
inside his ear, would you say?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Micro horror budget film getting ripped off in Castle Rock. That's almost a compliment.
That's,
Nice.
That's high praise.
So do we think it's genetic then?
Well, I don't know, because I mean, it's not like his real dad had it. Henry's.
That begs the question: how did Henry get it in the first place? I don't know.
I don't know.
Unless the pastor, he was a pastor, right? Unless he never had it, but Henry had it. And maybe that's the part of the reason he adopted him. I don't know. I've been trying to find some reason there.
You're going around like, hey, do you hear some strange sounds? And some kids said yes. You're like, I want that one. Like,
well, but it's possible that the orphanage could have told the pastor, this kid tends to get tinnitus.
If it was a church run, orphanage as well, he might have been around as being the pastor or whatever.
So I don't know.
Yeah, that's not a bad. I mean, that's not a bad.
I have a feeling it's going to come back to he specifically adopted Henry for that reason, but that's just me.
I wouldn't be surprised if that is. Although, I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Again, we've got no real news insight into that. But what we did find out when we talked about the for a lack of a better term, the God inside his ear there. He mentions this, or he doesn't mention it to Skarsgård when he's talking to him, but Skarsgård recognizes that he's like, oh, you're starting to hear finally.
Yeah, so, but then he tells Molly, he's like, I don't think he's ready just yet. So what is this? What do you think's going on with that?
I think that Bill Skarsgård is like the worst. He's like the Mr. Magoo of trying to help people. I think he's trying to help, and then he just makes everything terrible at all times.
Well, apparently he rescued Henry from a basement 27 years ago and then got himself locked up. And he's like, I didn't deserve this.
Yeah, but it seems like he's trying to help, but he's like awful at it. Maybe like the schisma is the villain and he's like the only person who can really hear it. And then it makes him creepy and he's trying to help and the schisma is following him or something.
I keep forgetting it's called the schisma.
Yeah, I don't know. What'd you guys think about the initial murder scene? I guess we kind of skipped over that. Like, it's a pretty brutal scene.
You're talking.
Are you going back to the B&B?
Yeah, I'm going back to the B&B just because, like, this is a pretty stark murder. And then the wife was just like, yeah, it's cool. I'll help you clean this up.
I honestly liked the struggle scene with Henry and Jackie better. And just axe to the head.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is the episode where Jackie Torrance finally gets to stretch her legs a little bit. We were saying
stretch her arms anyway.
Stretch her arms a little bit. We were saying that she needed a bigger role.
Yeah, I mean the murder. Yeah, we talked about the murder a little bit. I mean, it was pretty sudden. I assume that she's. I think the wife is sort of first scared, and then I think she's still guilty about cheating on him. And so that's why she kind of leans into this whole, I'll help you saw the bodies in half. Because
then she tells him, she goes, this never happened. Just like my cheating never happened.
Yeah, like those are even.
Let's move on.
This is not the best marriage. Like if that, like, no, like sometimes you do something wrong. You're like, all right, later on, I'll have to make up for that in some way. This seems like a bridge too far. Like covering up multiple murders.
That hides bodies together gets murdered together.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, they did. They got murdered. Her back shank of Henry. So Henry comes in to investigate, breaks into he gets a B&E on the B&B, and basically then he's like, I guess I'll leave because you guys are real creepy, which I mean, that was pretty obvious. You don't need to have the schisma to figure that part out. And then he gets back shanked in a nice jump scare. What'd you guys think about that?
I knew it was coming.
I mean, it would have been, I think it would have been, I don't know, maybe it would have been a little more shocking if we didn't know the wife was still around at the time. Because they let it linger for a bit where they were like, you didn't know what happened to the wife. And then she's like helping, cut up the bodies.
They should have saved it. That would have been better.
That'd have been a better, oh, no, she's in on it too.
The thing is, it doesn't matter. These characters we don't care about. They're new. We're at the end of the season.
Well, they're dead. They're dead now anyway.
Well,
so.
That's what I'm saying. It was like they had been briefly in a previous episode.
But they're the catalyst for him realizing that Skarsgård doesn't age.
Yeah, but it didn't. Okay, so then what do you do with that? We already know that. We already know that.
Yeah, but Henry didn't know that.
Henry didn't know that. They didn't.
Yeah, but what you could do is you could just have him break into the house for a scene that's 4 minutes and then have the same thing with all the pictures. He breaks into the old house because he gets a clue without the B&B part. I mean, it would have taken 3-4 minutes maximum. This was 3/4 of the episode.
Well, but I think him dating the picture. I mean, if it just walked into a whole thing of pictures with Skarsgård, who knows how quickly the warden could paint, right? But at least the dates give it some context. He hasn't changed at all. Because up until this point, again, I think we as viewers, we're obviously just blindly accepting, oh yeah, she's psychic. Oh yeah, this guy's evil incarnate. Oh yeah, so it's, I think when when the warden says, he hasn't changed his look. He hasn't looked as different in 27 years. We just accept it as viewers, but the characters don't. So I mean, I thought it made sense. It didn't.
Yeah, but you don't need to construct an entire episode, which is the very end of the season, to create all new characters and a whole new storyline to tell the main character a small part of the episode, one thing we already know. It seemed like a total waste.
I like I said, I think that the other point of it is that even just the likeness of him in that house is enough to influence events. I mean,
I think we already know he can influence the events.
But when he's there, not just his picture though. That's my point.
I don't think we really needed that. What is that little caveat giving us with 2 episodes left? It's not. They're not gonna go nuanced into that where they had to finish the season. You know what I mean? Maybe earlier on that'd have been great.
I liked the way they did it. I don't think that it was out of place, and I don't think that it was overdone. I think it had a good flow.
Well, so let's talk about this ending. Molly and Skarsgård catch up at Molly's old house. And Skarsgård kind of points out, she used to stay here. Kind of does the same, Jedi mind trick sort of thing that she did to other people to prove that she has psychic powers. He uses the same thing where he says things about her past so that he knows that she's there. They're talking, and he reveals that he's from the fort or from the woods where she died.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Which. Yeah, so I guess the question I have for y'all then is, so what do you take from that? Are we dealing with her ghost? Is Skarsgård living in multiple realities, and so he sees all timelines as sort of non-linear, in a very same way that Sissy Spacek kind of is, right? She's looping through, she's jumping around. Does Skarsgård live in a similar sort of manner?
Yeah, but didn't the deaf guy say that the schisma was multiple realities trying to reconcile each other?
He might have. He said a lot. He said a lot of things.
So I don't know. And she herself, right before she downed all her pills and tried to go find Henry, seemed to have a flash of herself dead in the woods.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on there. Some funky's going on.
My assumption was this is The Witch, all the bad shit's happening in the woods, right? They take him to the woods to kidnap him to do the schisma, or that's where the schisma is in the woods. That's why the dad would always take him out to the woods, right, to look for it. My assumption is all the bad shit starts from there. Now, yeah, I don't know if Bill Skarsgård is trying to be the good guy connected to that, which would be a hilarious twist that I would love. But my assumption is that maybe in the past that she died and he brought her back, or I don't know, or she dies like the next episode. It's either one of the two, right?
But it would be confusing because when she sees the image of herself dead, she doesn't look young. She looks like she looks now. It doesn't look like it was 27 years ago or something.
So I would say, my prediction for the next episode is that I think she's going to die in the next episode.
I was one episode off. Oh, 1 episode off.
I know, right? I think that his comment about her being dead, I think he's jumping around timelines like Sissy Spacek is.
Okay.
Yeah, but Sissy Paycheck is all in her head though. She's not really jumping timelines. She's just going back to her own memories. Whereas this dude's like, if he sees the future, holy shit.
That's what I know, but that's kind of what I'm saying here.
Yeah, but Sissy Paycheck can like just go back in time, and then eventually like her own memories are like, yeah, it's my memories. You're an idiot. Whereas this guy can see the future. I mean, that's like 100 million levels more.
Well, we don't know if it's the future or an alternate timeline. We'll have to find out.
If it's alternate
One thing I will say for Skarsgård, though, the more that I watch Skarsgård, the more that he reminds me of Mr. Burns as the alien in the One Simpsons episode. I bring you peace and love.
He's got the wide eyes for it, for sure.
Yeah.
So that works.
He's got the skinniest face that's ever existed also. Definitely hitting that part of it well.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, that skin is stretched taut against that skull of his.
And then I guess one more thing to mention is that so they're attacking Henry in their house. The two people, I don't even care what their names are. Professor and his wife, the movie star, I don't know, whatever. But basically the way that she kills them, Jackie Torrance kills them with an axe, not unlike her favorite uncle from The Shining, in a very on the nose reference. What did you guys think of the on the nose Shining reference there? Did it work for you guys?
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, I mean, some folks have been on the fence about her because they say, she's just kind of like there for a reference. They haven't really given her much depth. So people are hoping they'll kind of like flesh her out a little bit more, or maybe even she'll be the catalyst for the second season. I don't know.
But the thing is,
we'll see.
We have 2 episodes left. This all could have happened a long time before. Plus, her character wasn't even fleshed out, really.
It's still not. I don't feel like there's still much depth there. She's just a reference,
Yeah, exactly. I thought they should have went more into her or something this episode. Something. Because now she's gonna ostensibly be a main character going forward. Maybe not, but if she is, then that was a total missed opportunity to kind of get into her. At least a little bit of just like, I hate my parents and my uncle was a murderer, but I think that's cool, so I changed my name. Like, that's the most backstory we get for her entire life.
You know what I think happened? I think in the writer's room, someone was like, oh, we could have a girl, Jackie Torrance. And then they're like, that sounds awesome. And then they never really figured out how to work it.
I think that's exactly right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So any new predictions for next week's episode?
I might just go on and predict they're not going to solve anything. Like all the mysteries hang
until the last episode or forever.
Let's introduce more new characters. Why not? Make the whole episode about them. Maybe there's like
so they're gonna lost us. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe there's a milkman. You can just the whole episode's like the milkman in town. Just like focus on him. Who knows? I don't know. My assumption is they're not gonna really like start solving things. Like even now, like they're too far. Like they can't loop all of the things that are hanging out there. There's no possible way now that all those get resolved.
So let me ask you a little bit more of a theory question, or I guess, or maybe a preference question is the best way to say it. How much of the answer do you want given to you? Right? Like, at what point are you going to be satisfied? What do they have to explain to you for you to be satisfied?
I want it spelled out. Damn it!
You want it to be basically like,
yes.
here's what this is. Here's what this. Okay.
Yes.
What about you, Nate?
I think the schisma could be every season is like in Castle Rock, and the schisma could be the alternate realities. That makes total sense. And that would make it super easy to just keep making tons of Stephen King references across all seasons and all time periods. You could go back in time, you could go forward in time, you could do anything. So that makes some sense, I guess. I want to know what Bill Skarsgård is. I want to know who killed the dad, what happened to Henry when he was gone for a long time. I guess you can kind of link those together. What happened? What did the warden figure out? Like, there's so many things. I guess the main one I just want to know is like, tell me if the schisma is the alternate realities. That's the main thing. I don't think they can answer all the questions anyway. So
No, I don't think they're going to answer everything.
do you think that we? All right, this is my question. Do you think we get more new characters in the last 2 episodes of the season? I say yes. I say they're going to lean into it. More new characters.
No, because they introduced these characters earlier in the season. They're just cycling back to them.
Nate, you got to let it go, man.
Yeah. In the same way that we got
there was a brand new policeman.
The same way we got Abrams last episode, and we went on Dark World. You got to let this new character thing go. You have been wrong so hard by both Gordon and Lilith in this episode.
No, there was a brand new cop who was like against Henry. It's a brand new character. The female cop.
I mean, she was in it for like 2 minutes.
I guarantee you she'll be in the other episodes. Like, they just introduced a new character. She's gonna be there. I absolutely guarantee.
Sure,
it.
she's going to be in there a little bit, I'm sure, but I don't think they're gonna have a whole plot thread centered around her.
No, I doubt that. What I'm saying is there's just like new people. They just keep cycling them like for no reason. Like, we need to answer the questions about the main characters here. So hopefully they get to it. I don't know. We'll see.
Nate wants a show of 4 characters, and we introduce. Nate wants like Requiem for a Dream. Here's 4 characters. We only care about these 4. Nothing else.
It's better than being like, wait, what did they do again? It's been so long. It's been so long since they've been there. I really feel bad for Henry's character, because Henry's character started from like, I'm a self-possessed dude, like trying to like make shit happen, right? And like not taking anything from anybody. And now he is just reduced to like this reactive mess where like things keep happening to him. His mom goes off the rails at the end of the episode, kind of off screen. You don't see it. He then leaves. He's like captured. Bill Skarsgård is almost manipulating him to go into the woods. He's lost like all of his agency. I'd really like to see him maybe bring that back. That would help for me at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's reverting back to effectively how he was as a child, right? I mean, he's back in his adolescent environment, pretty much falling back into the same things that he was doing when he was there. I get what you're saying. Yeah, we'll see if he gets some of that back, or if that's just part of him just being a Castle Rock, that it just makes him regress into that state.
The next episode should be how Henry got his groove back. That would also be positive for me as well.
Well, the next episode, I believe, is actually called Henry Weaver or something. I think it's his name is the title of the next episode, I believe. So I think we're gonna figure that out. All right, I think that's gonna wrap it up for this week's review. Nate, tell them where they can find us.
Yeah, you can find us on Twitter at TX Pod Massacre. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram. You can email us at textpodcastmassacre@gmail.com. And we're on all your favorite podcast platforms.
All right, well, that's going to do it. Thank you once again for tuning in, and just keep telling yourself it's only a show. Good night.